Dear students, we have been reading the Fire Sermon, which is section 3 of the greatest poem of 20th century, The Wasteland, written by T.S. Eliot. Today, we are going to begin from line number 253. Previously, we have read that typist girl is making love with Smyrna merchant, and what happens after his departure we shall read today. This love scene is in comparison to the love of previous legends, previous important people or people of previous era. So love is a race today. Love, which was a sanctified ideal in the past, has become a vulgarized, a mechanical process which is meant only by physical love, and faithful and true love is missing today. I read the text. She turns and looks a moment in the glass, hardly aware of her departed lover. Her brain allows one half-formed thought to pass. Well, now that's done, and I'm glad it's over. She turns and looks a moment in the glass. After the departure of her lover, who is groping his way in unlit staircase, the beloved, what happens to her? Because it's also not made clear by T.S. Eliot whether both of them are in love with each other or just they want to have a good time in the company of each other, just physical love they want, and the lover, without saying a word, without bidding farewell to the typist, is leaving her in a situation, in a mental condition which she is revealing after his departure, and her words are, well, I'm glad it's over. She is glad that the process of physical love is over. She turns and looks a moment in the glass looking mirror. She is looking at her face, at her hair in the glass, in mirror, to find out what change has occurred in her physical appearance. She is cautious of her physical appearance because loss of chastity is not a great matter to her. So she looks for a moment in the glass, hardly aware of her departed lover. She is not thinking of the lover. She is not missing his absence. She is not giving a second thought to the lover who has just departed. And she is thinking of her face, her beauty, her complexion in the mirror. Her brain allows one half-formed thought to pass. Just an idea, a thought comes to her mind, and what idea is coming into her mind? Well, that's done. I'm glad it's over. So the sentence, I'm glad it's over, this throws light upon indifference of her towards chastity, and it is also an allusion to Goldsmith's opera, Goldsmith's drama, Vicar of Wakefield. In this drama, the chastity of the heroine, the protagonist, is violated, and the thought which is coming into her mind after the departure of the rapist is to commit suicide. So, in past, women were thinking of their chastity. They were cautious of their chastity, their virginity, which is totally absent today in modern wasteland, and utter meaninglessness of loss of chastity is suggested in these lines. It is the tone of modern times, which is not only an allusion to the past, it is also an example of today, the women of today, the lovers of today, and what kind of love is taking place between the lovers or among the lovers is shown by T.S. Eliot so highly, a juxtaposition of the values of past as well as present, because this is the technology of T.S. Eliot, that he's presenting the thing through the contrast, and this contrast here is highly paradoxical. When lovely woman stoops to folly, paces about her room, again alone she smooths her hair with automatic hand and puts a record on the gramophone. When lovely woman stoops to folly, I had told you there is an objective correlative to Goldsmith's play Vicar of Wakefield. These lines are from Vicar of Wakefield, parody of Vicar of Wakefield. I shall read the original lines of Vicar of Wakefield, then I will read these lines so that students, you may be aware of the values of two worlds. So here I read the lines from Goldsmith's Vicar of Wakefield. When a lovely woman stoops to folly and finds too late that men betray, what charm can soothe her melancholy? What art can wash her guilt away? The only art, her built to cover, to hide her shame from every eye, to give repentance to her lover and wring his bosom is to die, and wring his bosom is to die. So the thought which is occurring in the woman of the past is to commit suicide, to die. These were the original lines of Vicar of Wakefield by Goldsmith, and here T.S. Eliot is presenting a parody, and these lines are ironical, satirical of present woman's status, her mental condition, her degeneration and degeneration of love also. When lovely woman stoops to folly, foolishness, where she is committing a foolishness, because this is a foolish thing only, this is a vulgar and absurd thing only, that she is having a relationship, physical relationship before her marriage, because love is sanctified, love is only fructified, otherwise the love beyond marriage is never successful. So lovely woman, when she is stooping to folly, then she is pacing about her room, she is walking in her room alone and smooths her hair with automatic hand, and she is smoothing her hair, she is doing her hair, she is setting her hair with the automatic hand. Automatically her hand is going to her head to make up the uneven hair, and puts her record on gramophone, and she is playing a record on gramophone. So this gramophone becomes an objective correlative. It's highlighting the mechanical nature of sex relationship in contemporary world. Thus, music, we see two kinds of music. The music of we can say this gramophone, and next will come the music of fishermen. We shall read in the coming lines. So this music as well as rhythm of love is degraded. Love is degraded as well as music is also degraded, because gramophone becomes an objective correlative to sex relationship only, just as music is changed on gramophone and it can be repeated as many times as one wishes. In the same way, sexual act is also mechanical process, and it is a machine-like process, and it has lost every kind of sensation and feelings which was in past. It is a thing of bygone days when love was pure, love was sanctified, love was inside marriage, it was resulting into marriage, because today love is temporary love only. It is only to pass a good time, and after that lovers don't care for the absence or presence of their lovers. This music crept by me upon the waters and along the strand up Queen Victoria Street. Oh, city, city. I can sometimes hear, besides a public bar in Lower Thames Street, the pleasant whining of a mandolin. This music crept by me upon the waters. This music crept by me upon the waters. These lines are objective correlative to the play of Shakespeare, The Tempest. In the play Tempest, I will read the original lines to you. The original lines of Tempest are, this music crept by me upon the waters, allaying both their fury and my passion with its sweet air. I repeat these lines, original lines of The Tempest, the play Tempest written by Shakespeare. This music crept by me upon the waters, allaying both their fury and my passion with its sweet air. Unquote. In these lines, T.S. Eliot is, what does he allude? He is giving an allusion to Ferdinand. Just as Ferdinand was led by music of Ariel. Ariel was a spirit in the play, and Ferdinand, the protagonist, is led by the music of Ariel. In the same way, this music is leading Tiresias, the music of gramophone is leading Tiresias. So we have heard two types of music of gramophone and the music which is leading Tiresias to where? To the strand, to the streets of fishermen, to lower area of poor people, how they are passing their time listening to the music. Their music also is a source of recreation, a source of entertainment after the hectic work of the day. They are at noontime, they are taking rest. This music crept by me upon the waters of Thames. He is led by this music along, and he is accompanying this music because this music is at high pitch and it is leading him upon the Strand. Strand is the name of a street in London, up Queen Victoria Street, and he is going to Queen Victoria Street, a name of a street in London, outer part of the city. City. I can sometimes hear. Sometimes he is hearing beside the public bar in Lower Thames Street the pleasant whining of a mandolin. The pleasant whining, high pitch sound of music. So mandolin is a kind of musical instrument. So he is listening to the music of mandolin, which is a source of entertainment for fishermen. Here fishermen are not only fishermen, they are workers who work at the river Thames. They have various occupations, vocations, and now they are taking rest and as well as their breakfast. So this shows a pleasant whining of a mandolin and clatter and chatter from within, from the huts from inside their hut. There is clattering as well as chattering. They are talking as well as taking their lunch. Where fishermen lounge at noon, fishermen are lounging. They are taking rest and refreshment at noontime. Where the walls of Magnus Martyr holds inexplicable splendor of Ionian white and gold. Where fishermen lounge. Fishermen are lounging, taking rest at noontime, and walls of Magnus Martyr. Magnus Martyr is the name of a church which is holding inexplicable which cannot be expressed in words, beyond expression, beyond words. So the splendidness, the grandness, the beauty, the magnificence of this church cannot be expressed into words, and that magnificence is Ionian, Greek, white and gold. It seems to be a Greek word because Greece was a source of civilization and arts. It was a famous place of art and civilization. So Ionian white and gold, The white and gold work of this church is beyond expression. So, in contrast to the lower part of fisherman hut, the hut of fishermen, in contrast to lower area of suburb of London at the side of river, the beauty and splendor of this church is presenting a scene of the dichotomy, how people of various sections lead their life differently. At one side there are grand buildings, at other side there are small huts. So what kind of contrast of life is there? Because there is no unity, there is no similarity, there is no we can say equality. The ideas of French Revolution, fraternity, brotherhood, and these things are absent in today the wasteland, because modern wastelanders are habitual of this life. This song, now we are changing, the scene is changing. There is the song of Thames daughters. This song of three Thames daughter is there, and this song of Thames daughter is objective correlative to Wagner's Das Rheingold. There are Rhine daughters, daughters of river Rhine, and they are lamenting the loss of gold in river Rhine. Just as river Rhine has lost its gold, in the same way these Thames daughters have lost their chastity. Their chastity is as much precious to them as is gold for the daughters of Rhine. Today, poor people don't have any right to live a life of dignity, and at every step there is lurking danger for them, danger of challenge to their chastity, their honor, and their virginity, which is destroyed by the sons of city directors, the heirs of city directors, because rich men have every right to violate the chastity of poor people. First, these Thames daughters are singing a song collectively, and then they are singing song individually. So the first we see how collectively they are singing. The river sweats oil and tar, the barges drift with the turning tide, red sails. White. The river sweats oil and tar. This pollution of the river is highlighted here. Pollution in modern wasteland, pollution is at every level. It is at the level of honor and chastity. It is at the level of nature also. In water bodies also this pollution is there. River is sweating oil and tar, because only thing left earlier, this river was loaded with merchandise of various countries. From various countries merchants used to carry merchandise. Spectacle of merchandise was there. Today there is a spectacle of oil and tar only. Too much pollution is there. So contemporary world, in this contemporary world, pollution is also only there, only seen. In contrast to Elizabethan scene, there is pollution. River is sweating oil and tar. Boats are drifting with the turning tide. With every tide, there are red sails, white, and red sails are there in one boat. There are seen red sails, and they signify something very important. To leeward swing on the heavy spar. Leeward in the direction of the wind. Their swing on heavy spar, the spars are taking the wind is taking the boat to its direction with it, and the barges are washing drifting logs. Logs are also drifting in the river, and barges, the boats are washing. They are throwing water on the drifting logs. Down Greenwich, we shall continue tomorrow. So in this way we see how changes have occurred in modern wasteland, and these challenges are lamented by Tiresias, because he has seen past also, and the past, the grand past, the splendid past in comparison to the sordid present is making his heart piercing with sorrow, and that is the things are reflected by him through his thoughts in the poem. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you, students. Bye.